Welcome to AG's Ace. Yes, there has been a lot of massive euphoria following Neeraj Chopra's gold medal and the brilliant performance by a lot of our athletes at the Tokyo Olympics. But it is also time to introspect and look ahead. A lot of celebrations have happened, wonderful things have been said and done, and prizes have been given, a lot of facilities have been given to the athletes. But what lies ahead in another 3 years at the next Olympics to be held in Paris? Where will India stand? A lot of these important questions need to be addressed. And some of the pointers behind it may not be very pleasant, but it is our duty to have a close look at what needs to be done. So let's go ahead and do this analysis. Now, in the recent Tokyo Olympics, except for the men in the 4 into 400 meters relay, if you remember, who came a very close fourth and ran an excellent race in a top field in the heat stage, no one else figured anywhere. Our top qualified runners failed miserably. Dutee Chand disappeared into thin air. She came in last in one of her heats. Now, are our track runners really prepared for the world stage? That is the big question. How do they compare with the best in the world? What is the gap between our great national record and what happens, say, in countries like the US, Japan, UK, stuff like that, Italy, which did so well in track and field? Are we so happy breaking national records that nothing else matters? Do many of our athletes look for jobs and perks as a way to ensure their future? These are hard questions which need analysis. If India has to figure in the top 20 medal list in the next Olympics, then a lot remains to be done. India had just one distance runner qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. Hugo van den Broek is a Dutch distance running coach and former elite runner who was the head coach of the elite distance running program in SAI Bhopal for 5 years. He shared some very interesting thoughts in an article in the Hindustan Times, and I thought I could bring out a couple of pointers from there and include some of what I feel and what the other experts are also saying. Now, let's begin with a quote from the Dutch coach. He says, "The first thing I noticed when I came to India was that the runners did almost all of their sessions on the track. When I asked the coaches why, they told me if we allowed them to run on roads or trails, they might hide somewhere instead of doing their training. This is unheard of in the world of top sport." You expect athletes to have that fire burning inside them. If they are lazy with their training, they will not perform, and they pay for it by losing their spot in the team. That's what he said, and he's absolutely right. He went on to add that athletes who do not have the fire in them will never reach the top in the first place. If we have to force them to train hard, we are just wasting government money. Now, in India, the moment an athlete does well, I believe they are celebrated excessively. I know some of you will uh, totally disagree with me, but that's fine. Lovelina Borgohain won a bronze in boxing. So she has a street named after her by the Assam Chief Minister. What would you do if she wins gold? Others were given cash prizes and perks and jobs by states as if that was the be all and end all of everything. कि आपने बहुत बढ़िया किया, ये शाबाशी है, ये इनाम लीजिए, end of story. Should that be the end of the story? Celebrate them by all means, but overall, the infrastructure needs to be provided in the form of a few things. One is training, nutrition, facilities, coaching, and support staff. Some of it is happening, has happened, but the road ahead is still very, very long. In the run-up to Tokyo, there was a buzz around Dutee. She got into controversy with her BMW and personal life. It should never have happened. Giving her exposure overseas, making her compete with the best in the world was what was required. The Odisha state government did its best to support her. I must say, Naveen Patnaik has done a magnificent job to promote sports and sporting culture, whether it is hockey or other sports. He's one of the few chief ministers who's actually created a terrific infrastructure. Anyone who visits Bhubaneswar and the other parts of Odisha where the infra is coming up, you can see for yourselves. Now, coming back to the Dutch coach, he says uh, he made a couple of other interesting points about pushing an athlete to train. That you cannot overtrain an athlete to the point of the person breaking down, which is, according to him, happening a lot in India. For a high level distance runner, he said it's normal to run 150 kilometers per week, but 80 to 90% of that mileage is easy and only 10 to 20% is hard. The Indian runners I met had training programs with hard sessions every day, regimens that would physically and mentally burn them out and burn out even the biggest talents. Now, there is a belief among some coaches and among most of officials that all athletes, even those winning national championships, are lazy and need a hard hand, the Dutch coach said. Of course, while most athletes have a problem with the federation, and we've seen that happening this time also. If you recall what happened to archery and the way and shooting also, particularly the way the NRAI chief Raninder Singh made a couple of comments even when the Olympics was on, and the fight between Coach Jaspal Rana and Manu Bhaker, all of it spilled over even when the Olympics were continuing, even when the Indian contestants were there, and it was such a sad state of affairs. It seemed as if to me that people were only interested in protecting their jobs and the rest can go to hell. This is a very important line coming from the Dutch coach, and this needs to be sort of analyzed and sort of broken down very closely. He said, indeed, many Indian athletes are not interested in reaching the top. Most of them have two important motivations: to stay at the SAI center and to get a job through their sport. Once they have reached that, they get into a comfort zone and lose their focus completely. Very, very tough. He said, during my 5 years as a coach in India, I was often asked when India would win an Olympic gold medal in a running event. My answer must have disappointed many. He said, let's stop thinking about winning gold. First, India needs to get a bigger talent pool. So he's talking about not the fixation over medals, but you need to have a larger talent pool to really make it count. We all know that India is miles behind countries such as the USA, Japan, UK, Italy, many other countries like that. And of course, when you talk about the East African nations, when the natural athletes come in, and if you talk about Sifan Hassan and what a magnificent job she did in all the three races, it was just simply terrific. She's of course of Ethiopian descent and having moved to the US, if I'm not wrong. The real issue is not that India is not the athletic powerhouse that it could be, but that India is not a powerhouse in any sport apart from cricket. This is due to a combination of factors, but in my view, the most important reason comes down to sporting culture and mentality. These are the lines of the Dutch coach again. I feel that whenever something good happens, this is a nation starved of celebrities in most fields. Let's not talk about Bollywood. If you talk about any other field, except for cricket, which is a sport which has dominated, which is doing tremendously well all over the world, the other areas need to be really bucked up. The boys in hockey did a magnificent job, so did the girls, and the new coaching culture has come in. But what this Dutch coach is talking about is slightly different. He's talking about training track and field athletes and what it needs and the mentality which needs to change. That if you're only looking for a job, if you're looking for perks, then boy, are you in the wrong place. True champions don't focus on winning medals, beating others, or any other form of reward, such as getting a job. Sports for them is first of all a quest to better themselves. The way to create winners is to not focus on winning, but rather on the process of getting better day by day. Those are the last lines by the Dutch coach. I totally agree. And I hope that the Sports Federation and the Sports Ministry would actually analyze these pointers, the feedback which is coming in, and prepare better for the next Olympics, which is just 3 years away, and create that pool, which is so important, which is happening in cricket. At one point in cricket, it was tough to have 11 good players. Now you have virtually 3 teams who can take on any team in the world. That is bench strength. That is what needs to happen in a different way, in a different space, in a different sphere. And best of luck to India. We really hope they kick and they fire, and they would be ably supported by the government and the sports federations in the right way. Thanks for watching AG Says.